I'm Dave Baker.
And I'm Andrew Price.
And I'm Mike Bedard.
Welcome to Deep Cuts, the podcast where we pick a topic and walk you through the ins, the outs, and the nitty-gritty so you can appear like an interesting and idiosyncratic person at your next forced social function. Today's topic is...
William Banks.
Who is William Banks? Well, he's a New York-based artist and comedian who specializes in avant-garde performance art. This includes forming his own cult, going to jail, breaking out of jail, committing a crypto scam, and donating all of his profits of said scam to Palestinian charities. Cults, weird comedy, and financial scams? William Banks might just be the very embodiment of the internet.
Act 1. Welcome to Car World. What's real? Sorry, we're not trying to get all existential on you, but with our lives becoming all the more consumed by the internet, it's a question you might see people asking more and more. Social media allows people to curate whatever image they want. Self-proclaimed financial gurus will act like they're rich by filming themselves on a private jet, acting like they own it when they really just rented it for an hour. Or maybe even it's a set that isn't actually flying in the air. But even with that, you know you're at least looking at a real person. With AI becoming more advanced, it's possible that entire celebrities and locations will be fabricated. And we'll all soon be watching something that just plain doesn't exist. The internet is fraught with deception, usually in the pursuit of your hard-earned money. As we've said before on this podcast, everything's a bit. And nowhere is that more evident than today's subject, William Banks. William Banks hails from Carbondale, Illinois, growing up in a Lutheran household. At age 9, he was diagnosed with a brain tumor and underwent radiation therapy, steroids, and brain surgery to remove it. At a young age, he also began developing symptoms of obsessive-compulsive disorder, but as a child, he didn't understand what that was. He thought it was the voice of God, telling him to touch something 5 times in a row or draw a lowercase t 5 times to display his commitment to God, since a lowercase t looks like a cross. But it was also around this time that he discovered a love for being in front of the camera. His very first creative project was filming his own version of Harry Potter with his friends.
I'm excited about this.
Yeah, I heard him talking about this in an interview, but I haven't actually watched it.
Oh, get ready.
Like, I couldn't really handle the secondhand embarrassment, but I guess we're gonna do it right now.
I killed them.
That's William Banks, by the way, Dave.
Dark arts.
Oh no!
Oh yes.
Oh no.
We will have to dance and fight.
Why are they speaking so weird
To
slowly?
the music of Harry Potter.
Oh no.
Yeah, so that was real bad.
That was real bad.
I mean, you know, to be fair, it was just some silly little video that like some teenagers made.
Yeah, they were like 13 at the time. It's just a shit. I guess pre-TikTok, it's like, you know, you just film
Yeah.
stuff on your dad's camcorder. And
Yeah.
I mean, I know I filmed like movies with my friends growing up that I would be embarrassed if anyone talked about them on a podcast today.
It felt very, it felt very indicative, or it felt very similar to the types of homemade videos that I've seen from a ton of people that they made in like elementary school or high school. And you know, it has all the tropes. It's like there's no angles. It's just somebody holding a video camera and just moving it around.
It feels like George Romero's Survival of the Dead, like that last big set piece where all the zombies are pouring into that morgue or whatever, and there's just like a guy going, "Oh no, oh no, there's zombies." That movie sucks.
Yeah,
Sorry, George.
except these were 13-year-old kids, and he was an industry professional, iconic director.
And yet somehow this is better. Isn't that harsh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like he looks like there was a kid in my high school named Nashua who got busted for jerking off to furry porn in the computer lab and expelled, and he looks exactly like this guy.
I mean, we're going inside baseball with this guy looks like now.
I'm just saying.
It means nothing to any of the listeners.
No, it doesn't. But I'm just saying, this guy looks like the type of dude who also would jerk off to furry porn in the computer lab and get expelled.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, he in terms of that archetype, that's exactly what he looks like. And also, probably just what he was. Because
Yeah,
we're
right,
gonna get into it a little later. Because I mean, let's set this up front. So first of all, as you can see or as you can hear, this is a three-hander. We're doing.
It's the proper term is three-way.
Three-way.
We're doing a three-way.
This
The
is
podcast thruple.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the first ever 3-person episode of Deep Cuts we've ever done. I mean, we had guests on the show that were technically like a third
Deep thrusts.
person. Because
Deep thrups.
Because the thing is like we don't have many guests on the show because the show really doesn't. The format of the show really doesn't.
It's not conducive.
Facilitate guests.
Yeah.
Because like it's not a podcast where you're like, oh, we're just gonna come on here and like shoot the shit for an hour and then you're gonna talk about your book or whatever. To be on this show, the requirement is that you have to have relatively deep knowledge of a specific subject. Otherwise, why are you on it? I mean, it's one thing if like one of us doesn't really know that much about it, but if you have a guest on,
But usually
like,
the other one does.
The prerequisite is that they would need to know about the subject.
Yeah.
You have to sit and like listen to like narrative scripted segments that can go on for like 10 solid minutes. And then you have to have like really granular discussion about the story. So there's not many people that want to be on a podcast like that. So it's just we haven't had many guests.
We're experimenting with incorporating a third.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Andrew and Dave saw me at a bar, and they were
Yeah,
like, "Hey, we
we
like your vibe.
We like your vibe.
We like how you went on a 10-minute rant about Slab City. Do you mind just coming into our garage?"
yeah.
Our treehouse,
I mean,
our mystery treehouse.
all of that definitely true information aside, this is kind of like a send off for Mike because
It's true.
We've done 4 episodes with him while Dave was out. Also, the other reason is because this is basically a sequel to the Birds Aren't Real episode, which Mike and I did. It was the first episode that we did as his temporary pinch hitter guest hosting duties. So it just made a lot of sense to have you do the episode because Dave wasn't there for the Birds Aren't Real episodes, so there was like some context stuff that he wouldn't know. So it just makes sense. So this is a sequel to the Birds Aren't Real episode for a number of reasons. The first one just being that it's like a similar type of story. It deals with a similar type of like live action performance art, living a bit type thing. But also, as we'll get to later, literally there's like crossover between the two stories. So that's why we're doing the 3-person hosting thing.
Andrew, it's a thruple. Thruple is the
the thruple hosting thing.
Thank you.
But also, that all being said, Dave, you really don't know anything about this. You are coming into this completely blind. Dave, Mike and I are very familiar with this because
I love that you're like, you are a moron. You have the brain of a child.
No, but here's the thing. You're joking or whatever, but like when we get later into this episode, you will understand what I'm saying.
Okay.
Because more than anything, I mean, because we frequently do episodes where one of us doesn't really know anything. And it's like intentional.
Yeah.
Like we sometimes do episodes where we both, like the Shane Carruth episode, we both read like 4 screenplays and watched like 5 movies.
Yeah. Which is why I actually was going down a wormhole listening to interviews with him last week, and our episode popped up on YouTube, and episode 1 is 4.5 hours long.
Yeah.
And I did not remember that. I know I'm usually the one that complains when we're recording for an extended period of time, but my memory of that is that was like super fun to record. Never in a million years would I have said
it was an 8-hour recording session. But we did actually split it up though.
Did we?
Like the Chris Hansen episode was 3 episodes that we recorded in one sitting, which was an 8-hour straight through. With the Shane Carruth one, we recorded them separate nights. We recorded 5 hours and then we recorded 3 hours on 2 different nights.
Man, I don't really remember it, but I remember having a lot of fun.
And actually, we recorded more than that because we also recorded an additional 3 hours of us doing a live dramatic table read of A Modern Ocean that we never put out.
We never put that out?
No.
Because you did not come out
We
well?
didn't finish it. We did like half or a little bit over half of the script, and then we're like, let's finish this later because it's like 3 a.m, and then we just never went and recorded the rest.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
We never got around to it.
Well, it's a fucking great screenplay if somebody's listening and hasn't read it. The Modern Ocean fucking rules.
But you'll understand what I'm saying in a while, because like I said, we do episodes where one of us is, we both have a very deep knowledge of the thing.
Yeah.
We do some episodes where one of us is kind of cold reacting to it.
Yeah.
But this, more than anything, like, you have no idea how fucking weird this guy is.
I'm excited.
So you are not gonna, you don't know what's coming to you.
I can't wait.
Like, I've peered into the abyss, and Mike has too.
I wrote this. I've seen the videos already. I know.
I watched
The eye contact.
I watched multiple like 3-hour full length interviews with him, and Mike wrote this episode. You don't know what you're in for.
I can't wait. I'm excited.
But the reason why I said that is because we'll see him, a more recent version of him, but he absolutely, both visually, physically, and also just his essence, is absolutely somebody who got caught jerking off to furry porn in the school library computer lab.
Love it.
It represented the beginning of Banks' love for performing, as he'd continue making little videos with his friends during sleepovers. Eventually, he moved to New York and got into stand-up comedy. Here's a clip from his very first stand-up show at NYU, where he, an 18-year-old, talks about having an adult son.
Does anybody out there have kids? Yeah. Me too. Let me tell you, it can be hard having kids, you know? The other day, he got up early and went to the morning, comes back about 10 minutes later and says, "Dad, I forgot my lunchbox." I say, "Lunchbox? Don't you mean briefcase? I haven't packed your lunch in 10 years. You're an attorney for crying out loud." So, I was watching the game the other day, and I ran out of beer, so I said, "Son, can you go to the fridge and get me a beer?" He says, "Okay," and he goes to the fridge, there's no beer. I say, "Well, go to the store and get one, son." And he says, "I can't, I'm not 21. So I say, "You'll be 21 in a month. Your birthday's next month."
Once again, I think because of lack of context. I mean, I'm not saying I thought that was hilarious, but the thing that Dave serving as the avatar for the listener right now, the thing that Dave and perhaps most of the listeners don't fully understand, because we haven't established it yet, is that William Banks is like he's an anti-comedy performance artist, and his entire life, as we'll get into, is dedicated to just playing a character that is like the most glib, unfunny human being who's ever been born.
This can go one of two ways. This could be amazing, or this could be the worst thing ever.
I think, well, here's the thing. That you're wrong, because I think it's literally both.
Sounds great.
An 18-year-old moving to New York to become a comedian. It's a tale as old as time. Or at least maybe like a tale as old as 1974. But Banks wasn't content delivering absurdist humor from a stage. He wanted to bring it to a macro scale. And this resulted in Banks' own cult, Car World. Car World is an alternate reality that branched out in 1918 when Henry Ford's brother, Doug Ford, was struck by lightning, creating a new version of Earth called Car World, where everything is cars, like the continents being called North and South Carmerica, and the native species of this planet all called attendants, with an arm and hand on top of their body instead of a head. How does William Banks fit into this mythology? Let's just read from the official Car World website.
On October 14th, 2018, he had sex with Quarux, a worm phased into his car, who was traveling from an alien planet in our universe. And passing through Earthworld to cross the bridge to Car World, he came inside of them. The next day, William began dating the first mechanic, his halfling daughter born of Quarux, whose true identity was still a secret to him at the time. After they broke up, William was abducted and taken to Car World, where he lived for 10 years. There, he experienced the glory of King Moon, the treachery of exile, and both gas wars. Now, William Banks has returned to Earthworld with a mission. The Bridge Keeper demands he gather 12 apostles, complete with Tat Pass, to return to Car World. William must comply if he wishes to lead the attendants' revolution against Quarux and restore a third Cartopia.
So, you joked earlier about how he looks like a guy who could jerk it to furry porn, but in his own mythology, he had sex with a worm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's one thing to kind of read the synopsis, and it's another thing to really, like, fully understand what this is, but Car World is, like, an actual real cult that he started that is, like, simultaneously a real cult, but also, like, a public... It's like a group improv performance art installation where all these people are like to varying degrees of how serious it seems like they are about it are in this cult. And
but the majority of it is, it's not like, I don't know, the Moonies or whatever. Like, it's like people who, they're all in on the joke and that they are in a cult, but it's like they're jokingly a part of a cult.
They're in on the joke, and it's like a joke, or like it's hard to describe because there's really not a whole lot like it, but it's the equivalent of if you were like in a sketch comedy group, except for their version of it is that they don't do like sketches. They publicly act out that they are a cult that believes in this mythology, where he was driving his car one day, and it's funny because it sounds so arbitrary, but once you like watch a lot of interviews with him, like the mythology is very specific and very rehearsed, and it's very canonized. So like once you've watched a few interviews with him, you're like, you kind of grasp how much this specific story is like important to the overall thing. Just to kind of reiterate, William Banks is driving in his car one day. A worm phases into reality on its way to Car World. He fucks the worm. The worm is inseminated with his seed, goes to Car World, gives birth to a child that comes to Earthworld, but is lying and doesn't tell William Banks that she's his daughter. So they date and have a relationship, and then she reveals to him that she's his daughter. And then he starts this cult where he's basically like the messiah of Car World that started off all of these like prophesied things. He's like Paul Atreides. Like it's like very Dune-esque. In fact, it's just like it very much seems like he just like read Dune and then came up with this and like subconsciously incorporated a bunch of Dune stuff, like Herbert stuff into this, because there's worms and things like that. But he's the Paul Atreides of this world, of this cult, Car World. And basically like they get together and they have like meetings, and they have like a YouTube channel where they post videos of them doing like prayers and things like that. And does it get to it? Yeah, it does right here, the ride. If you've heard of Car World before, there's a good chance that it's due to a fairly popular video Banks posted across social media where he hands a Car World pamphlet to Alec Baldwin. Let's watch that real quick before we get to the sex ride.
Car World.
I say let's take this.
Hey, would you like to learn more about Car World, Mr. Baldwin? It's a planet in an alternate dimension where I've lived. I had sex with Carix, and then Carix is the leader of Car World. Would you like to take that?
You look exhausted.
Thank you.
You look exhausted. You look exhausted. Well, yeah, I was having sex with this thing.
I mean, it's funny because like number one, it's pretty true. Like he does look pretty run down, which I think is on purpose. Like I think he.
That's kind of his vibe. Since we already brought in like birds aren't real, it's like how Peter McIndoe just kind of took on the appearance of like a disheveled conspiracy theorist, and that's just kind of William Banks's whole aesthetic too.
Yeah,
he just like, always looks disheveled.
He assumes a persona that has a lot of built-in context and implications, and I think one of those things is that he really wants himself to seem like this schlubby weirdo who is the leader.
He's got the receding hairline and this 5 o'clock shadow and the. You know, he's doing it. The thing that's the best about that, though, is the look of puzzlement just, like, plastered over Alec Baldwin's face the whole time. Just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and also, like, from his perspective, because he doesn't know this is like a dude who's like a performance artist. He's just like, this is just a crazy dude who's just like going around screaming about some sex cult with a worm or whatever.
I had sex with Carix.
But also, but the other thing about it that's funny is that like that's like the very infamous thing that you're not supposed to say to somebody that everyone talks about. Like you're never supposed to tell someone that they look tired. Like it's seen as like very rude to say that to somebody. And like, especially in the workplace where like, guys will go up to women and be like, you look tired. And like, that's just like very frowned upon because it's kind of insulting and you're insinuating that they look bad in some way.
Right. Yeah.
And this is the final boss of that, where like in lieu of knowing what to say at all, Alec Baldwin's just like, you look exhausted.
Alec Baldwin, noted manslaughter practitioner.
Yeah, I was gonna make the joke that directly after this he was on his way to go murder somebody.
Yeah.
He was so taken aback by like what he had just experienced, he wasn't paying attention to the prop gun.
Yeah, exactly.
He just keeps thinking. Why it happened, because he was on the set of Rust and he was just like had sex with a worm that phased into reality.
He's like loading one bullet at a time.
Fuck?
There's a giant stack of bullets that says real bullets and a giant stack that says fake bullets, and he gets confused, being like, the worm? Real bullet in the chamber. Worm.
It's like
closes chamber, spins it. A worm. Stops it, cocks it. Okay, I'm ready. Who's ready?
The bullets go in here, the worm, and this. Okay, and then I put the wadding in, and he fucked the worm. Real bullets are there, fake bullets are there, but he fucked a worm. And then the end of it is just him walking out and being like, all right, it's time to shoot this scene. And then the door closes.
Roll credits.
That's the biopic.
Yeah.
Alec Baldwin's biopic has the same ending as Lincoln, where he's going to Ford's Theater. Yeah. And it's just like, we know what happens at this point.
Shall we stop this bleeding? But yeah. Oh yeah. Now let's get to the sex ride here, guys. There was Car World merch people could buy, like shirts, bracelets, and bottled water that'll run you $4.50 a pop. And then they launched Quorix, the sex ride, where people could pay to experience the majesty of William Banks having sex with a giant worm creature themselves. Banks described what the experience entailed.
They begin driving the car, and then a giant worm emerges and begins wrapping around the car. And they see that it's this giant Quorix alien. Then the worm goes around the car, and actor Caroline Yost appears and talks to the driver, while people in black morph suits are in and outside of the car moving it around. And I'm in the back seat with another person, also in a black morph suit, and we're using fans and smells or throwing inflatable things in their laps when Quorix phases into the car. And then I begin touching them as they touch Quorix. And there's a vibrating seat, and I have a vibrator in my morph suit that I use depending on if they sign up for the love ride or the sex ride.
Yeah, so basically this was like an experience that they do in their studio that they did, and like he said, it's like simulating this immaculate conception scenario that happened where he fucked a worm. But when you go to this experience, you can pay, which honestly I don't even know what the legal logistics of this are. Like, does it become like sex work once you've paid for the sex ride? But basically you can opt for the love ride or the sex ride, and the love ride is like a PG-13 version of it where he doesn't jerk you off during the.
He actually does.
Well, he puts a vibrator on your dick.
It's like over the pants.
Yeah, over the
was
over
my
the pants.
understanding. Yeah,
but you can opt for the love ride, which costs less money. And it's like the don't touch my dick version of it. And they do the whole experience, except for it's like the edited for TV version where he doesn't do it. And then there's the sex ride one, which costs, I forget, there was a specific.
I think it was $20 for the love ride and then $40 for the sex ride.
Yeah. He said the specific pricing, which I thought was funny because usually people like avoid.
But it's all kind of a joke, right? Even though he's doing over the pants funny business, like it's not like people are actually getting turned on and like, you know what I mean? Like, is
ironic? It's a performance art bit thing.
Yeah.
Where it's but it's still, he takes out a vibrator and puts it on your dick or vagina.
Let's do it.
And it costs $20 more to do that one. And honestly, like I said, it's not literally jerking you off. I was kind of exaggerating for comedic effect. But I also wonder, like, does that transition it over into being sex work, since you're paying money knowingly for somebody to like stimulate your dick? Like, does that become sex work at that point legally?
I mean, legally, you could probably make a case for it, but I think we all know it's not really. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like whatever you do in the privacy of your own home or
whatever you do in the privacy of your own.
But I'm just talking about the fact that there's literal exchanging of money.
Yeah, no,
happening.
Totally. Whatever you do in the privacy of your own 2-story walk-up that you've rented on Craigslist to host this worm sex ride.
Yeah. You know. And there's the thing about also just on that subject of like, oh, but you know, it's just a bit or whatever. We're gonna discuss this more as we get along, as we go along. But the thing about William Banks is there's a lot of different stunts that he has done that we'll cover, and it's really funny because I would say that this episode is kind of in the lineage of something like the Andrew WK episode. Like this is like the thing we talk about a lot, where there's like somebody who creates this elaborate persona publicly that involves a lot of like performance art and kayfabe, and you know, the kayfabe of living as a public figure, and you know, creating narratives through the way that you curate yourself to people. But it's very unique. Because unlike Andrew WK, who is a person who has crafted this like almost like ARG, like augmented reality game as a layer over top their music, their artwork, and kind of lives in this experience and tries to present it as if it's all real, but it's so ridiculous that you basically know it's not. But it's kind of like this winking handshake between the two of you, where he's like, I'm gonna craft a world for you to embody for a little while when you engage with my work, and I'm going to commit to pretending like it's real, but like, and you can play along, but you know, we know that I'm not a fucking robot clone or whatever. Or something like similarly the Velocity Gnome, where that exchange happened between Colin and Dylan and Joe, where the thing that was happening was obviously not real, but they were committed to creating a world that Colin could live in for a while. Or even Birds Aren't Real, which is like the opposite of that, where he did this performance art thing and then he like came clean and admitted like, oh, this was all a bit, this is all a satire thing. And then he did like TED Talks about it and he turned it into a platform. William Banks is like frustratingly almost like drive you insane levels of somewhere in the middle, where in the same interview, he will acknowledge that things that he does later on, like his whole jail saga, which we'll get to, were fake. But he maintains that the Car World mythology is true. And he wraps it up into his own personal life and lore, because he had brain cancer whenever he was a kid. And as he said, he went through
I wish he had responded to Alec Baldwin with that. Alec Baldwin's like, you look exhausted. And he's like, I had brain cancer as a kid. Right? As Alec Baldwin is like pulling away.
Yes. You know, if hindsight's 20/20. But he had brain cancer. And this is one thing where it's really not fully clear how much of this is true or false. Mike and I were talking about this a couple days ago. He's also like deeply religious. Or maybe he's not. And maybe that's part of the thing. But you can't really tell. And also, he talks a lot about this story about how he was religious as a child, and then for a while he became atheist. He was convinced by a friend of his that to question his beliefs and sort of deconstruct, and he became an atheist for a while. And then he was working at an ice cream shop or a donut shop or a bagel shop or something?
It was an ice cream shop, because I think he got stuck in the freezer.
He was working in an ice cream shop, and he went into the freezer, and the door shut behind him, and he got stuck in the freezer, and he didn't have signal on his cell phone, and he was stuck in the freezer for like 4 hours, and he thought he was going to die. And then eventually he was able to like get a sliver of a bar on his phone, and he called somebody and they let him out. But he said that he had this like religious experience while he was in this freezer where he thought he was going to die. And then he just like all of his like belief in God, he prayed to God for the first time in like 5 or 6 years or whatever it was. And then he came out and he was like a changed man, and he fully embraced his faith over again. And these are stories he tells that are like real, true stories that happened to him. But then he like intermixes them with the Car World mythology, where he says that like the thing where the worm phased into his car and he had sex with it happened on his way home from the ice cream shop the night that he got stuck in the freezer. And he will say that something that he did was like a bit, like a fake thing in an interview, but he will also simultaneously insist that the Car World thing is real. So no matter what thing he does, and whether he admits certain things are false or whatever, or fake or like performance art, he consistently maintains that he fucked a worm.
You gotta respect him for that.
And it's like, that's the part where it makes you, and I think this is probably purposely part of it, but it makes you feel vicariously like you're going crazy.
Well, it's the equivalent of he wants his cake and eating it too, where like you can always do the bit, like what we talked about with Birds Aren't Real, how he kind of needed some time to figure out what that was going to be. And at first he admitted Birds Aren't Real was a jokey thing, and then he leaned into making it, trying to pretend it was a real conspiracy before coming out with the TED Talk. So it's like whatever was funniest in the moment is what he did. And I feel like that's just William Banks as well. It's funnier to stick with the worm bit, but then like when you get into some of this more legal gray area, it's like, no, I was just joking around.
It's also probably worth mentioning that one of William Banks' apostles in Car World is former Saturday Night Live cast member Chloe Trost, which explains why she appears in the short film Enter Car World, a cinematic retelling of Banks arriving in Car World.
Understand me like I do. Understand what
There's Chloe Trost, who many might recognize as a one season cast member on
Why
SNL.
are you stopping? What's wrong?
Well,
What's wrong?
I don't know. The car doesn't look like there's any gas in the tank. So.
Oh,
There's not enough gas.
I filled it up at the gas station.
No. I know.
Baby.
No, I know you said that, but.
Yeah, I pumped the gas.
Yeah.
I pumped the gas at the gas station. I put the gas in the car.
Yeah, really?
For the drive to my friend's house.
I was in the bathroom, and then I didn't see you pump, which probably was a mistake I made.
Baby, I pumped the gas.
I don't believe you. How?
This is our dynamic.
What comes first?
This is the two of us.
The gas comes first.
The gas comes last, you fucking imbecile.
Look, when I first met you, I asked you where you're from, and you couldn't name a single state. I just want to know what you are.
Can't get into it. I told you my mom was weird.
Your mom's weird. What does that mean? You didn't know any state that existed.
No. This is crazy. Like, you're talking to me like this.
Baby,
Baby?
Honey.
Open your bloodshot eyes. Take a picture with your mind. Your whole world is about to change.
Do you remember that night when we were having a burger together?
When?
This is
September.
Okay.
This is like some grade A 2B garbage.
Met a human being that looks so perfect as me.
I mean, yeah, that's supposed to be his daughter. Chloe Trost is playing his daughter.
I got it. Yeah.
But I mean, what you're saying, like what you're saying, touches on something that is like a really big part of what I want to talk about. Which I don't know if it's necessarily the exact right time to do it, but something that I'm struck by with this, and maybe you don't get enough of a sense of it yet because you really haven't seen the full breadth of a lot of the stuff. But something I was really struck by with this, and also Birds Aren't Real, and why it was important to kind of have some contextual follow through from that episode, is that these projects are very strange and interesting in this very particular way, where it's like, it seems like the purpose of them, because like you watch that, like that wasn't good. That wasn't like that wasn't like a really interesting short film that you were like, yeah, this is really cool. Like I love this world he's building. Like it seems like somebody who doesn't know how to make movies, like kind of trying to make a thing.
Seems
to like
it just is.
And it's because like these things like Birds Aren't Real, which we talked about a lot in that episode, and this, it seems like they are like public performance art experiments that are primarily created to have a merch line, which is so strange to me. It's so strange that there are these things that are these like avant-garde performance art experiments, but they're not for the purpose of making a movie or doing like a live theater thing. They're like to sell t-shirts.
Did he quit his job in the same way that the Birds Aren't Real guy quit his job and like, or dropped out of school and, you know, made t-shirts on print on demand site?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. That's what he, and spoiler alert, but like this guy is roommates with the guy who did Birds Aren't Real. Like they live together.
Well,
we'll get to that later.
That fucking checks out. That's kind of really fascinating, though. That which one of them came? Well, never mind. I'll save my questions until we.
But it's just so, and I don't know how I feel about it. Like in one way it's like really interesting, but also like in another way it's like I don't know if I kind of think about it in a way that's like not good. Like it's so alien to me that these are like these weird like postmodern capitalist grifts where they're like, oh, we're gonna do some really weird, it's like, oh, we're not gonna be Mr. Beast and like do these big stunts to make money. We're gonna be the David Lynch of Mr. Beast.
I mean, that's on the surface that sounds like it should be great. The problem is that it's doesn't have the craft or the spectacle that Mr. Beast's videos do. Like I don't really like them, but you have to respect the fact that they're like well produced, they're laser focused at making money, and they have snap zooms, and this is a thumbnail for every fucking one. And like I said, that clip was like a fucking like worse than a Tubi movie.
Yeah,
and that's saying someone who like watches exclusively terrible Tubi movies.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like that's the line. There's a line that this is crossed over to where like a lot of times we'll watch these things where there's some weirdo who did some performance art thing, but the things that they've made are like really cool and interesting, or at the very least they're just like utterly fascinating. But like I said, you don't fully get a sense of this because we haven't seen all of it, but the ephemera that has come out of this in and of themselves are never particularly good or interesting. It's just like there's that short film and it's just like, this does nothing for me.
Yeah.
It's not like a cool little short film. The actual content of what this is selling t-shirts.
Do you think that's just a side effect of this all being on social media, where it's very difficult to make a living? Like, if you're a band, you sell albums or you get like streams on Spotify and you make some money that way, and then you also sell t-shirts at your concerts. But like or if you're even like a filmmaker, like we were talking David Lynch, like you make a movie and then hopefully it turns a profit. But like to just making videos on social media, and you can make some money on YouTube or TikTok depending on how big your following is, but otherwise, like, how do you monetize that?
And and you guys are a perfect example of that because both of you have large TikTok pages with monetized followings.
Yeah. I didn't have to fuck a single worm
yet.
I mean, maybe that's where we fucked up. Like we just like talk about interesting facts. Like we gotta talk about fucking worms.
Yeah, you gotta get down. You gotta raw dog a night crawler.
But we also have like you and I have jobs. We have jobs, and then we make TikToks and make some money through that. But that's not exclusively. William Banks, I don't know where he is career path. Like he worked at an ice cream store. Otherwise, he was like a stand-up comedian. but like I feel like this is all he does, or primarily does at this point.
Yeah.
So it's like you make whatever money you can get off social media. Otherwise, it's like what people are willing to buy off you.
Yeah, but the thing is like what you said in the beginning. I think that's exactly what it is. It's this weird thing which we don't fully understand.
But here's my question though, because there's a version that is, and it's the same end goal, but what you're saying of like performance art piece in search of in service of a merch line versus what Mike is saying of a merch line in service of a performance art piece. It's the same destination, but to me, massive differentials there. One of those I would be very willing to support. The other I'm not. Like Almighty Op, the puppet act. There's a guy here, and well, he's not here anymore. He stopped doing it this year or last year. The performance art piece is called Almighty Op, the fourth Sunday of every month in Koreatown. He would go to this specific corner and he would perform a like 1 hour puppet show where it was a musical, and he would like set up, and he had a helper named Shambles the Clown, and they would, you know, have these little puppets that all had characters. They would perform a set routine of songs, and he would come out and perform crowd work with sometimes 50, 60, 70 people there, sometimes 10, 15. It kind of depended on the week, you know. And he sold merch, but the merch was an excuse to try to get $5 to keep this fucking weird puppet show going, not a puppet show to grift people out of money for t-shirts. So like, yeah, there's no point to this other than like same destination, two very different goals.
Yeah, and then that's I agree, and I think that like what you said, Mike, of like, oh, you know, there's not a lot of opportunities to make money on social media. I think that's accurate as well, and I think that what the tension between those two ideas, the thing that I find so fascinating and interesting and kind of alien, and the thing that I'm kind of like rubbing up against when I think about these things is
jerking off against.
Yeah, when I have the vibrator over the pants.
Over the pants.
Yeah,
and your worm fucking up against.
Yes, the thing that occurs to me is that it's just a different way of thinking about art based on just different cultures that have existed. Because like, you know, we're all old men. We're old people, and when we
I'm
were
like 400 years old.
When we were younger, you know, in the dawn of the age of internet, and then eventually social media, and like making stuff to put onto the internet and social media, and like, you know, I grew up. I've been making internet sketch comedies videos since I was like 16 years old. You've been making comics since about as long or whatever. You know, we were making this sketch comedy videos together. Whenever we were younger, like there wasn't even an option of making money. Like the understanding or the transaction that you had was, here's this new tool for getting people to see the stuff that you make, and you're just in it for the passion, baby. And nobody's ever looked at your dumb, weird stuff that you've been making your entire life until now. And now you can get like several hundred people to look at it, and just for the sake of it, just because you want to be seen, essentially. And then you got to get a job for that other shit. And so even if somebody did turn social media or internet content into a real job, as many people have done, I think you still are fundamentally wired to see it as like a fun thing to do, or like a way of expressing yourself. Whereas I think younger people, which William Banks is a younger person, he's Gen Z, they think of social media as this like monetized business venture in a way. So the way that they think about it is fundamentally different than the way that we think about it. So in that difference, you have a situation where somebody is like, not like, oh, I want to do a weird performance art experiment where I start a cult and then I'm going to like sell some shirts to like fund it. They're like, no, I'm going to start a merch line. How do you start a merch line that will get actually people to buy the thing and go viral? Oh, by creating a weird cult to make it like a really strange thing.
Especially if you've got a front row seat to somebody doing it very successfully and getting picked up and featured on the news and stuff, and then you go, oh, this guy's not that fucking smart. I live with him. I know I can do this fucking too.
Yeah, and even Peter McIndoe, I think, because we talked about we talked a lot about like the weird wasted potential of Birds Aren't Real, where it seemed like he had actually like generated a coalition of like-minded people that he could like assemble to go and like do things where it's like, oh, they're doing this like anti-abortion thing, like go there and do a Birds Aren't Real exhibition and like kind of drown them out with your absurdist comedy thing, and then all the anti-abortion people will just go home and stop harassing the doctors. And like that's a really cool and interesting opportunity to utilize this thing, but Peter McIndoe ultimately does really nothing of significance with it. And I think it's because at the end of the day, he didn't actually make it to do that. He made it to sell fucking t-shirts.
And that's where I think a lot of memes kind of come from. Like you think the glory days of internet memes, like in the 2000s, it was just this funny image of a person reacting to something, like the little girl and there's a burning house in the background. I think her family didn't make any money until they sold like an NFT of that image, and then it's like the only good use of NFTs. But now it's like you make a meme, and now like the Hawk Tuah girl, that became a meme, and then she sued the guys to get the copyright to sell her t-shirts, and then got a podcast, and then found a way to monetize off the meme.
And got represented by WME, and then signed up to do a fucking shitcoin, and then there was a rug pull, and then got investigated, and like maybe was gonna go to jail for 5 minutes, and then, oh no, thank God she wasn't actually involved because she's too stupid.
I'm gonna go to bed.
Yeah,
bye.
Okay, bye. Yeah, which is like amazing. Okay, guys. Anywho, I'm gonna go to bed. Like amazing. I listened to that little fucking clip of her being like, "Anywho, guys, thanks for the feedback. Anywho, I'm gonna go to bed." like 40 times. Like I'm not invested. Anywho, I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna go to bed. Like, it's amazing.
And she went away for 3 months, and I don't know if you saw the Instagram she made when she came back, but it's her waking up from bed. So leaning into
amazing
the pseudo kayfabe she created for herself
to
relaunch the podcast that no one listens to anymore.
Well, the other thing about that, too, is, like, there's an ecosystem not only around the attention that these people pull in. It doesn't matter. Keep reading the script. It doesn't matter. We're on a fucking tangent.
Anywho,
back to the script.
Tired. Back to the script.
Anywho.
Just to really quickly cap that off. Like, and as much as I hate that, like, I hate that is what, like,
me too.
equates to cultural capital now.
Yes.
Is somebody making a throwaway joke that's, like, fine, but not that funny, but because everybody was like, I can't believe something so crass and sexual would come out of a innocent looking woman's mouth, she like got turned into this massive celebrity that like ended up
objectively, her man on the street interview is hilarious.
Yeah,
like, where she's like, well, you just got a Hawk Tuah on that thing. It's like, this is amazing. Like, you have charisma. You're like not worried about how you're being perceived.
But the reason why she became famous, because it was a bunch of guys who were like, isn't it funny that a woman would say that? Usually women don't say stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I hate that. But the thing is like, is this really that different? The only difference is that he just isn't as famous. But is it that different?
Which in which context? I'm sorry.
Just like basically like leveraging this weird viral moment.
No, not at all.
To start a merch empire.
No, it's not at all. No, the only thing is, instead of a singular sex-based drunken rant, he spent months to years of his life trying to build a thing.
That's a sex-based worm rant.
Yeah, a sex-based worm rant. Yeah, totally.
Anywho, I'm tired. Gotta get back to fucking worms.
Yep.
But Banks would soon engage in a completely different type of stunt. At the end of 2023, Banks was arrested for stealing 5 Israeli lawn flags out of various Westport homes. He'd later say of the incident,
I have obsessive compulsive disorder, and I got it in my head that I should throw these signs away. I thought that Israel was being very bad and that no one else is going to do it except for me.
Banks' theft was real, and he really was arrested. He was charged, but the courts agreed to wipe his record clean provided he do 200 hours of community service, 2 years of promotion, and take a psychiatric... What did I say?
No, you read it.
Promotion. Okay.
I was about
Mikey typos.
I was about
Mikey typos.
I was about to say the same fucking thing where I was like, what does that mean? Is he just promoting like the police department? Like, what is that?
Here's the thing.
Got promoted to grade A right.
You know what the funny thing is about this is that the only reason why I would actually read that typo out loud and not notice it is because my assumption is that this is all spelled correctly and there's no typos, whereas any script that's written by Dave is all typos.
Here it comes.
But I can read it like the Matrix code and say the right thing because I am expecting it. And so I can like look at it and be like, oh, he meant to say probation there. And then I would read it normally.
Isn't it amazing?
He was charged, but the courts agreed to wipe his record clean provided he do 200 hours of community service, 2 years of probation, and take a psychiatric evaluation as well as a hate crime class. But a team was put together behind the scenes to make Banks' action appear to have wider-ranging consequences. And the mastermind behind all this was William Banks' roommate, Peter McIndoe, the founder of Birds Aren't Real, which we already kind of spoiled earlier. They're connected. We already telegraphed this. You can go back and listen to our full episode chronicling Birds Aren't Real, but basically it's a pseudo-conspiracy about how the government replaced all birds in the United States with drones. It kind of run its course, and McIndoe, after spearheading the movement for several years, moved on to other ventures that are part political commentary and part performance art. And also I mentioned it I went in and I re-recorded and added it into the Birds Aren't Real episode, but it bears repeating that we missed a part of the story when we did the episode. When we recorded it, there was like a thing that had just happened that we just didn't know happened, and so it wasn't mentioned in the thing. But basically, in very recently, as of March of this year, Birds Aren't Real, the creator Peter McIndoe, he purchased the trademark for Enron, and then they launched a crypto coin for Enron and did a rug pull where they like basically scammed a bunch of people out of a bunch of money. And that's going to become relevant later on. But we missed that part, and then I had to go back and like I had to record myself basically saying that part after the fact.
I remember recording that, and then we got to that point of like, oh, we'll see where Enron goes. And I was like, it's been a while since I wrote this script. I probably should have looked into what had happened. And I was like, that's probably fine.
Yeah, it was a scheduling snafu because you wrote the script in November of 2024. It was supposed to come out in February of 2025. Some stuff happened. Dave had to take a hiatus from the show. The episode didn't come out until May of 2025. And we had just not done the due diligence of being like, let's go back and check this story and see if anything's happened since February when this originally was supposed to come out. And then we didn't. And we fucked up. But that being said, it's going to be relevant for this, so keep that in mind. Put a pin in that. That's where William Banks came into play once more. While his actual sentence was fairly mild, the two agreed it would be really funny if they pretended that Banks got a far more severe sentence and wound up in prison. The two of them, along with two of their other roommates, Will Duncan and Ryan Smith, wrote out an entire storyline for Banks to follow in his fake incarceration. They even rented out a disused jail just outside of Miami, Florida to pull off the stunt convincingly, pretending it was a Connecticut prison. And they hired actors to play the other jailmates, putting up a casting call on Backstage for quote-unquote jail saga reality show. But it wasn't a show per se. It was played completely straight, with everyone acting as though Banks actually got arrested, once again blurring the lines of what's real and what's fake for anyone only casually aware of what's going on. The bit began in October of 2024 when Banks posted to social media,
I have terrible news. The state of Connecticut has sentenced me to 8 months in jail beginning on November 15th. I have always tried to make the most out of my life, but today I am presented with an overwhelming challenge to overcome.
This was the beginning of what Banks would later refer to as quantum storytelling. An epic prison saga was about to unfold. As we are at the halfway point of this, and we really haven't gotten into like the real meat of some of the stunts and things that he's done, how are you feeling about our dear sweet boy William Banks so far, Mike or Dave? Mike already knows. Mike wrote this.
I think it's interesting so far. It's not my favorite of the kayfabe performance arty stunt people that we've covered. But I think it's like you're saying, like I think it's probably because we haven't gotten into the shit yet. I'm excited to learn more, though. How are you feeling about it? And is there anything that you would like to promote in our halfway to the end of the episode little pit stop here?
Indeed, yeah. I mean, at this point, number one, as we put it up front, or I'm guessing this was your thinking when you wrote the episode, because when I first heard about this story, I thought that he went to jail for real. My introduction to this story was thinking that he genuinely went to prison and snuck a camera into it, which was the story of how he was able to film it. Is he snuck a cell phone into he had somebody bring him a cell phone in like a fucking cake or whatever. Not literally that, but something like that. And I thought it was true. I thought it was really real. So at this point in the story, I'm not gonna lie when I say we sort of just got it out of the way that it was fake instead of trying to pretend like it was real, which I think is ultimately smarter than like setting the audience up for disappointment. Because personally, when I found out that it wasn't real and he didn't go to jail and it was just a fake thing he did, I was admittedly a little disappointed, and I was a little less excited about doing an episode about it. Like the premise of the story, I was like, this is the Deep Cuts episode.
Yeah.
Like, this is gonna be the best shit we've ever done. And then when I found out that the jail thing was actually just a staged hoax, I was like, oh, this is still an interesting story, but like, oh. So I think it's a smart decision that we didn't try to fake out the audience that it was a real prison break.
Thank you. That was smart.
Yes. But at this point in the story, I was admittedly a little bit disappointed that the prison thing was not actually a real thing. But yeah, I mean, ultimately my feelings so far are just what I said before, which is like, you said this isn't your favorite kayfabe thing we did, and I think that's like the interesting part of the story, is that it is this really strange kayfabe public persona performance art thing, but it's like in this very new way that I'm not used to, where, as we just spent like 20 minutes talking about, it's like to create like a business, basically. Like, I want to create a narrative world where I can sell shirts and like memberships to a fake cult and all these things, which is just so odd. And it's like this weird cross between performance art and then like just like capitalism. That's just like, I don't particularly love it. But it's also really, really interesting because I've just never seen anything like that. But it's becoming more and more common now that culture has fundamentally shifted in a way that is, you know, we're getting left behind. We're not the primary demographic of the world anymore. And this is like part of that realization, is like, oh yeah, the pop culture isn't crafted and geared towards me anymore. And now there's a whole other generation of people that just like and care about completely different things, for better or worse.
So do you have anything you want to promote during this break?
Yeah, I mean, you can follow us on social media by going to Facebook and searching Deep Cuts Podcast. You can join our Facebook group, the Deep Cuts Podcast Facebook group, where we talk about the show, we make memes, we hang out, do other kinds of fun stuff. It's a cool little community of listeners. You can also join our Discord server by going to bit.ly.com/deepcutsdiscord, where we talk about the show, we make memes, we play games, we hang out. It's another cool little community with some crossover to the Facebook group, but ultimately a whole different thing. If you want to join both, feel free. Some other people have. You can follow us on Instagram at Deep Cuts Pod. You can follow us on TikTok at Mystery Treehouse. You can buy merch. Speaking of merch, but in our case, it's the other way around.
Yeah,
where we try to sell you these. I don't care about selling shirts, but you know, if we make a little bit of extra scratch to keep making this show, so be it.
Baby onesies.
Yeah, we got baby onesies. We got coffee mugs. We got
Deep Cuts Crypto.
We got, well, technically there is
fucking sellouts.
Yeah.
Fucking crypto Hillsmer's crypto coin.
Yeah, when we did the GameStop episode about the subreddit that like did that shorted GameStop, as a little stunt / bit for that, Hillsmer created Hillsmer's cryptocurrency, which was a real cryptocurrency that we actually made, that we didn't sell for money, we just gave it to people. But it's a real cryptocurrency, and there's like multiple people out there with 10,000 Hillsmer coins. And I'm not gonna lie, I lost access to the account that has all the rest of them. So I can't get in that account anymore.
Hillsmer coin is going to go through the roof in like a year.
there's,
like Elon's gonna fucking like post about it, and then you won't be able to get the cash out.
Yeah, there's like 50,000 Hillsmer coins that are in a wallet that I can't access. But yeah, so if you want to, if you can't get any Hillsmer's cryptocurrency anymore, as for reasons I just explained, but you can get baby onesies and fanny packs and t-shirts by going to that site, going to deepcutspod.com and clicking on the shop. You can follow me on TikTok by going to @TreehouseDetective, where I make short form fact and explainer videos, kind of a mini version of Deep Cuts. And you can read my long form articles by subscribing to my Substack by going to substack.treehousedetective.com. What about you?
You can follow me on TikTok and YouTube at Cinema Singularity, where I post videos related to film and television, just my thoughts about what's going on in pop culture. You can follow me on Instagram at Mike Bedard, and if you're in the Los Angeles area, you can see my sketch comedy team Crop Top performing the second Wednesday of every month at the Pack Theater.
And now, back to the show. Act 2. Prison breaks and crypto fakes. William Banks' fake prison sentence began on November 15th of 2024, and the night before he left, he posted a video of him doing a stand-up set talking about his impending incarceration and his goal for those 8 months.
I think that if they want to send me to jail, I'm not going to resist them. I'm going to go to jail, and I'm going to convert those prisons to believing in God. I'm going to go into those jails, and I'm going to continue my work as a journalist. I'm going to find Christians. I'm going to find Jews, and I'm going to find Muslims. I'm going to find people who believe in God but don't find themselves fitting into religion. And I'm going to tell them that they're safe with me. And I'm looking forward to doing what I can with the circumstances that I've been given. That being said, I'm going to have to say goodbye to a lot of my dear friends. And the opportunity to stand in front of a stage like this with a microphone with you. I think that if...
Man, that is intense.
Yeah, I mean...
Everybody in that room is buying it.
Yeah.
Everyone in that room is like, fuck, this dude is A, crazy, B, what the fuck, and C, going to jail. Fuck.
Yeah, because it's unlike I fucked a worm that gave birth to my interdimensional daughter or whatever. This is like, he really did steal a bunch of Israeli flag signs and got arrested for it. Like, this is like within the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
He also seems like he's not, maybe at least his public persona, it seems like is the type of person that would get sent to prison for some weird,
yes, 100%, yeah,
mental health spiral,
yes,
that happened to him. So these people are thinking this is real,
and understandably, that guy looks unwell.
Yeah, and here's the thing: you look exhausted.
You look exhausted.
But there's a couple things about that. First of all, I don't know if do you go into this, but like basically one of the things that we didn't talk about in Act 1 so far, which is actually quite a big part of William Banks's persona, is I mentioned it briefly, but he is like super religious. At least he says he is. At least that's like a big part of his personality.
Yeah.
And one of the big overarching aspects of him and his public persona and like what he does is like he wants to make as many people as possible believe in God. And that's like the through line of all of his work that he does is he wants to make people believe in God. And in the canon of his like persona or whatever, atheists are the bad guy. And like he's like I love all religions. I'm a student of all religions. I love Jewish people. I love Muslim people. There's no religion that's bad or wrong. They're all one thing, just speaking in different languages or whatever. But atheists are evil. Like that's his whole thing.
Hell yeah, dude.
And it's really weird because once again, I don't actually know how much of it is true.
Sure.
It seems like it is true, and it seems like it is, but also it could very well just be another bit where he's like pretending like he's really against atheism or whatever. But it also seems like it could just totally be true. and he's just intensely religious. And he's not just like religious, he like thinks that he needs to convert people to believing in God.
Well, the interesting thing about him and his kind of like energy is that, and part of this is probably cultivated, and part of this is just kind of seems like who he actually is because of the trauma from when he was a kid, because of this like religious ferventness in his personality, and then also an interest in anti-comedy. It's like a weird vortex of just like bad energy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like his vibe is, you know? And that's something interesting because normally the types of kayfabe people that we talk about, they're very charismatic. They're trying to do something specific. They have a goal and they're working towards that goal in a strange or unique or interesting way. Like even just Phoenix Jones, you know, the real life superhero who decided I'm going to be a fucking superhero, and he was a former mixed martial artist, made a costume for himself, went out on the streets and would like get into fistfights with people, and like he still was doing a kayfabe thing and he couldn't quite do it. Like he was charismatic, sort of. He would talk to the news and be almost compelling.
He was CW charismatic.
100%.
He was not NBC charismatic.
100%. But that's the thing that's interesting about him is that he's trying to not be charismatic, but it's also inherently like you need something. You got to be doing, you know what I mean? Like there's like a weird middle ground that you have to be able to walk of like fucking what's his face, Man in the Moon.
Andy Kaufman.
Andy Kaufman is really interesting. He's doing the same anti-comedy thing, but he is inherently a charismatic person, and he's choosing to do this anti-comedy thing.
It feels like Nathan Fielder has also kind of carried that mantle more in the modern day with Nathan For You and The Rehearsal, he's also like kind of plays off that I have awkward energy, or like he's interviewing someone and he makes it awkward, or if someone is just like inherently talks to themselves. Like there's that episode of Nathan For You where like the guy just talks about like drinking his own piss or something.
His grandson's piss, yeah.
And Nathan's like, why would you do it? Like he lets people bury their own graves, but if the person he's speaking with is charismatic, then he'll be the weird one.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what this feels like, except not as defined.
Yeah.
And like, with Nathan Fielder, it's like even though his whole thing is like being like awkward or uncharismatic, it's like the magically realistic version of that, where it's like it's a very curated, rehearsed version of that, to where it's like everybody's on Nathan Fielder's side, like you're captivated by him, whereas this is like, it, like you said, it's just like a buildup of bad energy. He's like the person equivalent of like touching a doorknob that has like a bunch of static charge buildup, and then you get like shocked, and you're just like, well, it's also, I don't like that.
It's kind of interesting to think about it in terms of like the baby face and the heel idea of like he's 100% a heel. He's trying to be a heel. He's going about this all in like heel tactics, but the problem is that a heel is still the hero of their own story. They're still really charismatic. They can whip up an audience into booing for them. And like, he didn't, in the kayfabe of him going to jail, it's not like he killed someone. It's not like he did something really bad. It's he did something that's still, you can come back from way easy. He just stole some fucking flags. That's not a big deal. But it's the fact that his energy is so weird that you like, oh, yeah, I guess you could get 8 months in jail for doing that. I guess.
Yeah, I've told the story on an episode before. One time I was working at a movie theater. You weren't supposed to wear anything that wasn't like part of the colors of the uniform, but my friend was my manager and he kind of was more lenient about stuff like that. So one time I was wearing this cardigan that was like multicolored. It was kind of, I still have it, but it's a cardigan that has a bunch of like interesting patterns on it. It's almost kind of like a Christmas sweater, but not quite. But it's got that similar type of patterning to it. It's like weird multicolors and stuff like that. And I was wearing the sweater, and this woman came up to me, and she was like, "Oh, who bought you your ugly Christmas sweater?" And I went, "Oh, I bought this for myself." And she went, "Oh," and then she walked away. He is that.
Yeah.
He is that vibe.
Yeah. Yeah.
He is the equivalent of what you think is an ironic, ugly Christmas sweater, and then you find out that the person that's wearing it genuinely likes it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The hashtag Free William Banks movement was afoot, with his website even selling t-shirts featuring his mugshot, with proceeds going to Palestinian charities. On December 9th, he posted about how he was able to get a cell phone into the prison so that he could vlog to his followers.
Hey guys, so I just wanted to make a video giving everybody an update of the things that have been going on in my life. I know a lot of people were concerned about me going to jail, so my life here is pretty good.
So he's wearing like a prison uniform, and he's in like a, what is this supposed to be?
A cell?
He's in a cell,
like his jail cell.
He's in a jail cell with like, yeah, because I thought this was like a counter. Yeah, that's a bunk.
Yeah.
So yeah, he
has like his roommate.
He's in a jail cell. He's got the prison bunks, and he's got his roommate or his cellmate that is in the background, just like messing around, like folding his blanket or whatever. So yeah, this video is like him apparently vlogging from his jail cell.
I've been making a lot of friends, and I've been exercising and writing a lot. This is my cellmate, and he got this phone into jail and let me log into my Instagram account on it. You're doing a motherfucking vlog? I'm gonna post it on Instagram. What are you doing? What are you...
Bro,
will you...
Do your thing, dude. I told you got 15 minutes. You got 15 minutes on your phone, bro.
Will you introduce yourself to my followers?
No. Call me G. Hey, put that box on the, put that lid on that box.
Look, if I saw that in the wild, I'd think that was real.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is, like, when I first heard the story, I watched a bunch of these movies, or a bunch of these videos, and I thought it was real.
Yeah.
I mean, in retrospect, it's kind of like, once you figure out it's not real, it's kind of obvious. It's like, oh yeah, how did he get a fucking phone in there with internet access and like nobody noticed?
Yeah.
Like, have you ever seen anybody vlogging from a prison before? Like, I've never seen that happening. So how did this one guy do this? But at the time when I was watching the videos, I thought it was real. And a lot of people did. He would continue posting videos of his time in jail, from making cookies to getting in fights with atheists. A common through line in these videos is Banks' commitment to getting atheists to come over to the side of God, which usually doesn't go well.
Do you believe in God?
Oh, fuck with me. Do I believe in God? Come here, I'll tell you if I believe in God. You think God gonna give you
Hey, give me my phone back!
God gonna give you your fucking phone? Look at this weird ass motherfucker. Did God send him to help you? Did God send him to help you?
That's my up! That's my up!
Man, take it back, you old bro. Take it back, you old crybaby ass motherfucker.
Don't let nobody touch my phone. Yeah, I believe in God. I'm a Christian, a Muslim, and a Jew. Hey! I'm a Christian, a Muslim, and a Jew.
Don't let nobody touch my motherfucking phone no more, nigga. You hear me? Don't let nobody touch my phone. I don't give a fuck about this nigga, man. I don't give a fuck about this nigga. What's cracking, cuz? What's cracking, nigga? What's cracking, nigga? Yeah, all that loud shit. You quiet now. Yeah, okay. Pop the door. Pop the door. Pop the door.
You're an atheist.
Yeah, all right. Right.
Yeah, I mean, it just reads. It just so reads as like this guy is mentally fucking ill, and he's in prison.
Yeah, which I think honestly, the idea that he seems like he's maybe mentally ill, like in real life, like outside, like he's a performance artist who does have some mental illness, I think it honestly, in the minds of a lot of people, because the thing is, like, there, like I said before, there was like a little bit of a backlash to this because it feels kind of exploitative to be like,
it does.
oh, like I was in prison, and like when you watch the videos, it gets kind of even weirder and sketchier because it's like you're like this weird white guy who's just hired a bunch of black people to pretend like they're in a prison to like yell at you, and then you are like calling them all like godless atheists, and you're like trying to like, you're like literally trying to be this like white savior person that's like goes into a prison and then just converts a bunch of black people to Christianity. Like it's really weird. It's really weird. And I feel like if most anybody did this, it would be really
it would be very
unfavorable. But there was some backlash to this, but I feel like he almost gets away with it because everybody's like, I think this guy is maybe unwell.
Yeah.
It's a weird, not particularly kosher thing to do. It feels weird, especially when you watch the videos.
But Liz, it is exactly what you hit on though. Of like the weird gray area is that this guy genuinely seems ill, and so the fact that his like kayfabe persona stuff revolves around someone who is obviously ill is like, is this him critiquing his own illness? Is this him speaking to his lived truth? Is this him making a like cautionary tale for himself as like a worst case scenario of what he might experience if he's not careful? Like what is happening here?
Yeah. And there's also like a permission, and we'll get to this later because a bigger part of this will come up later, but there's also a permission structure he's built into it because he like did this stunt, but then he donates the money to Palestinian relief. So it's like this permission structure where it's like, I feel like this thing you did was like kind of low-key racist and weird, but like you donated the money to this thing, so like I guess what can we complain about? Like it's this weird like it's this softening of the blow of this objectively strange thing he's doing that if he was just doing it for personal enrichment, it would be seen as like very controversial.
Would you feel different about this story if from the very beginning he was followed around with a TV crew? Like secretly, not publicly, but like if they were making a movie about this experience or a TV show about this whole experience, would you feel differently about everything that he does?
I think so. Maybe not in a good way. Maybe I shouldn't, but I think so. I think that there is some implied. It's what we talked about with the Milli Vanilli episode, where when they were found out, exposed as lip syncing, Rob and Fab were sort of like blamed as if they had committed fraud, and then the session singers were presented as victims, even though objectively they were all at the same level. Like none of them really did anything wrong. It was the guy who orchestrated it, and they were just like employees that were hired to execute this project that he had.
Yeah.
But because of the dynamic of the fact that they were the people performing and they were on stage and visible, they were blamed for it in a way that the session singers weren't, because they were hidden behind the scenes, and sort of the way that it was looked at was that they were like,
and for you
they were discriminated against for the way that they looked. It's like that, where like the very fact that there was somebody, like some official body of some kind of film production crew that was like shooting this as a film, I feel like I would think about it inherently differently.
Is it because it moves it away from a performance art piece in service of a merch line to artists making a film about a guy making a cult in service of a merch line?
Yeah, it's like, it's like Exit Through the Gift Shop. It's just like,
I think I agree.
Mr. Brainwash is a weirdo, but like you watch that movie and you're like, oh yeah, like the greater
but he's also not real. Like he's a part of the con. Anyway, I think the thing though about going back to the movie idea, like if there were people following him around with a camera, it would give the audience an easy on-ramp to understand why someone would do something, because all the points he's making about like religious fervor and his obsessive compulsiveness, anti-comedy, and even the idea that like, maybe we're not alone in the universe, whatever, I don't know, however you want to frame it, like all of the things that he's doing, they would feel like there was an on-ramp for the audience to be given this experience in a way where some of the stuff that he does, the rest of it to me feels there's just so much, and there's not like birds aren't real is so, the brevity of it is why it's so genius, because it's simple, it's got a point, it's making a critique of our government, of governmental overreach, and also how conspiracy theories are like spread. Like, what is the critique that he's making other than like, this guy's probably mentally ill and has religious hangups and also wants people to be religious?
Do you think
there's no critique. It's just a series of bizarre stunts.
But it feels like just an avant-garde like influencer piece, because a lot of influencers kind of do something similar where you can never be sure what's real, what's fake. Like, I forget who it was, but someone like bought a pig and like incorporated the pig into their content, and
Nicolas
then the pig.
Cage.
Yeah. Nicolas Cage's YouTube page.
We bought a pig.
Matt Damon's pig project.
Yeah.
But they bought a pig and they like featured it and was like, oh, I love this pig. And then the pig was like a little piglet, and then it got bigger, and then they got rid of the pig. And it's like, so how much of that was like real, and how much was just using the pig for your content to come across as a certain way, whether animal lover, and then you have William Banks.
Mike, he's right here, and he doesn't know yet.
The pig?
Yeah.
We gotta bring the pig out.
We got a pig?
No, I'm talking about you.
Oh, he has. I'm
the
pig.
You're the little pet pig that I bought, and now you're a little too big now.
Oh wait. Oh, shit. I was so excited to be a little piggy, and now I'm gonna get put out to pasture. So when you said this was a handing of the baton, it's not Mike back to me, it's me permanently to Mike.
Yeah.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
This is your influencer attempt to bring the pig back. Like, no, I like the pig. See, here he is. He's fine. He's fine.
I
didn't sell him to a farm upstate.
Or like those people, the like family influencer people who have like 6 kids who adopted 2 kids and then unadopted them.
Gave them
yeah,
away.
they adopted a child, made several videos about it, and then were like, we've realized that this is not the right
this
direction for our
Yeah.
movie, or for our life. Might as well be a movie. For our life, yeah, and they gave the kid back, which is way bigger deal than a pig. Way bigger deal.
Yeah, it's super fucked.
Yeah, that's horrible. I mean, that's a whole different story, but that's fucking horrible. But yeah, I mean, yeah, if we're not done with this, so we'll talk about this more. But like, if there is any commentary here, or if there is any larger themes that are being touched on in what William Banks is doing, it is something to do with the thing that I find fascinating about it, which is like not understanding the line between the reality and the fiction, which is like a really interesting thing that I think about a lot, because as somebody who has existed in the social media space, like making social media content for years and working at companies that make social media content, and knowing people who make social media content, and like knowing them off and on the camera, like having people that I know personally, like friends or acquaintances, that I know their real lives, and then I see what their lives are in their public persona, and looking on something like TikTok and seeing things that I can so obviously tell are staged or not real, or it's just a foregone conclusion that this is not a real aspect of their lives. And then you see thousands of people in the comments who are just like, they just think it's real. And it's like, how do you people not see that this is fake? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I saw a video the other day where it was like, I rented out I did a thing where I told my husband to go get a bunch of stuff from the grocery store on his birthday, and then he went to the grocery store,
and everybody
in the grocery store was somebody he knew, and like it was this big thing I did, and it's like showing him, and he's going to the grocery store, and it's like he sees somebody he knows and like says hello, and then he sees another person, and then he slowly comes to the realization that every single person inside of the store is somebody he knows. And it's like, oh, this is such a heartwarming thing. This is so nice of you to do for him. But then it's like, how are we seeing this? How are we seeing this? How is there a camera following him? How does he not know that there's somebody behind him with a camera? How would the person with the camera not be a tell that something is happening right now? The answer is because this entire thing is fake. It's staged for a video, but there's a million comments of people being like, oh, this is the greatest birthday present ever. And that's where, if there's any commentary going on here, it's that, which is this thing where he's playing with this idea of like, you as the viewer can never fully understand what's real and what's manufactured about these people that you have invested so much into as the new cast of celebrity / public figure / life coach / inspirational and aspirational.
But do you think that commentary on his part is purposeful and delineated, and he's constructing it, or it's by default because of the medium he's working in?
I don't think it's purposeful. I mean, part of it, I kind of did it first, but then as you learn more about it, you start to get the sense that like there's really not a whole lot.
He's like the Henry Darger.
Yeah, what he's doing.
Yeah.
But I think that it directly comments on it, if only unintentionally, because of the fact that like he's such an unreliable narrator, and in the context of being an unreliable narrator, if he just pretended like everything was real, then you would be like, yeah, he's like a performance artist, he may be crazy, blah 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 blah. But because he simultaneously will insist that certain things are true, but then admit that other things are fake, you're just like, what? I don't understand. I don't know what to believe about what this guy is saying. Every single word that comes out of his mouth in that context, you have to like triple analyze and be like, does he believe in God? Was he trapped in a freezer in an ice cream shop? You don't know. And I think that comments, like I said, even if unintentionally, on the nature of what like being a public figure has become in the age of social media.
Yeah.
Where you literally just can't tell what's real or what's not. And a lot of people just think everything's real, and they just don't think about those little things like, oh, the guy's proposing to his wife by, he has a stack of Amazon boxes that are in the shape of him, and he's hiding behind it with a ring, and then she comes and she grabs the boxes, and it's a facade, and then he's standing behind it, and it's like, oh, this is a great, secret proposal, but there's a guy standing there with a camera.
Yeah.
How did the wife obviously open the door, saw a man standing there with a camera? She obviously was in on it.
Yeah.
It's that. On January 20th, 2025, he posted a call to action to get President Donald Trump to pardon him.
Hey guys, it's William here from jail. I heard that President Trump was inaugurated today, and I just wanted to make a quick video coming on here to ask President Trump to please pardon me from jail. I'm doing a lot of great work here, but I would like to go home. So please tag the president in the comments and ask him to free William Banks. Thank you.
His videos continued for a while, with him trying to bridge divides between people of different religions or just showing what a day in the life in the slammer was like. He took on the moniker of White Moses, and one day came upon a hole in the prison fence. On February 20th, 2025, 4 months into his so-called prison sentence, with only 4 more months to go, he filmed his escape along with his other inmates, crawling under a fence to reach sweet, sweet freedom.
All right, it's time to break out of jail. Come on. Come on. There we go. Hey, stop hitting me, No, that wasn't me. Pull it out. Go ahead. Everybody. Go. Come on, show us where to go. Come on.
It would have been amazing if that video ended with just like
in real life it would have.
Yeah.
Would have been a great end to the story. But his cadence almost does remind me of like an influencer. Like his video to Donald Trump was like, hey guys, like it's that kind of vocal intonation. And then that one, it began with like, all right, today we're going to break out of jail.
Yeah.
And like, just like, all right, today we're going to bake a cake. It's like
President Trump, please exonerate me and let me out of jail. And if you want to do that, the link can be found down in the doobly-doo.
Make sure to smash that subscribe button.
Smash that pardon button.
Hit the bell to get notified.
Yeah, I mean, number one, yeah, in real life, it would have ended with but also it doesn't say here, but the context of this was that the explanation for how they escaped from prison is that they incited a riot, and during the riot they used it as a distraction for them to break out of the jail because they found a segment of the fence that they could lift up and crawl out of. The video received over 21 million views on Twitter, and when reading through the comments and retweets, it's hard to discern who's in on the joke and who genuinely believes they just witnessed a real prison break. But as is so often the case in the social media age, everybody needed a take, with one of the best comments being,
William Banks got an 8-month jail bid for stealing Israel signs out of people's yards, does 4 months, says fuck it, and becomes White Moses and orchestrates a breakout. My new goat.
Which is also like, it's back to that gullibility thing, and why this comments on that, like I was just talking about, because in reality, like if you think about it for 3 seconds, like how could he escape from prison? Like he would just be caught and rearrested immediately. Like you can't escape from prison, especially, I mean, some people can, but not somebody who's like a public figure who's posting about it on social media.
Yeah.
You would be put back in jail immediately.
Also, just the fact that it's just a chain link fence. That's like apparently the only thing keeping them in, which you don't even need to squeeze underneath it. I mean, you could have crawled over that thing.
Yeah.
Any of them could have just traversed it very easily.
It's very obviously not real, and yet there were many people. Because the thing is, like, I thought it was real when just reading about the fact that he had like gone to jail for this or whatever and snuck a phone in, and was that part I was able to believe. But then when I saw the video of him escaping from prison, I was like, oh, this is like this isn't real. This is a joke. And then I got to the part where it was like, oh, it was staged, and I was like, oh yeah, yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it was fake. This confusion was aided by certain elements of actually being true, like Banks actually having larceny charges on his record for stealing Israeli signs. Many outlets, from Gizmodo to New York Magazine, explicitly wrote about the whole thing as a hoax, although one that was very amusing. And the jail saga of William Banks didn't end with his escape. Banks would later talk about how, when he was in prison, he received messages from quote-unquote crypto bros wanting to use his notoriety to launch a meme coin, but this gave Banks an idea. He reportedly partnered with a meme coin marketer, Jester, although Banks denies the partnership, to launch 4 meme coins based on his viral success, including a White Moses coin and another token simply called William Banks. Jester stated how he wanted to create a long-term partnership with Banks and really have the crypto coins grow in value. But Banks had other ideas. He pulled a classic crypto rug pull. We won't mince words. Rug pulls are straight up scams. They involve launching a coin promising high returns to attract as many investors as possible. There's typically zero transparency, which is why they're most often done with meme coins like the Hawk Tua coin. People invest based on name recognition alone without bothering to look into who's behind the coin. Once the coin has amassed enough funds, the developers disappear and take all of the funds accumulated with them. This leaves anyone unfortunate enough to not get their funds out of the scam in time high and dry. This is precisely the playbook Banks followed. He launched his White Moses meme coin that ran a peak market cap of $257,000 in an hour. At this point, the deployer of the coin, namely Banks, cashed out, causing the value of the coin to plummet. In total, Banks made out with $50,000, which he donated $10,000 each to 5 Palestinian charities, even posting receipts on Twitter. Banks would later tell Decrypt,
I think it's a weird world, and I don't like the people that I've been talking to. I just did it in order to give some money to my friends who I escaped with, and some money to Palestine. I don't want to launch another one. I don't want to post about crypto again.
Banks subsequently deleted all of his social media posts promoting his meme coins. Again, taking a cue from genuine crypto scammers to try to avoid liability. Some online naturally decried Banks' rug pull, calling him just another scammer, but most saw him as a Robin Hood-esque figure, taking money from those still dumb enough to invest in meme coins and donating the money to worthy causes. Political commentator Eden Riley posted on Twitter,
he escaped from prison only to immediately rug pull a bunch of crypto bros to donate the money to Palestine. He might be the greatest to ever do it.
It's always hard to tell where the kayfabe William Banks begins and the real one ends, but a good place to start might be an interview Banks did with Channel 5 with Andrew Callahan, where he elaborated on his prison stunt and the realization of how he could do good with his newfound fame.
Myself. After the jail thing, when people were like criticizing you, like you were saying, was there a part of you that felt like a little bit, like there was credence to the idea that like it's not cool to pretend that you're in jail when there actually is people in jail?
No, because if I didn't go to jail and escape, then I wouldn't have been able to make the $50,000 for Palestine. And ultimately, that's the choice that I made when I committed the crime, is for better or for worse, I was drawing a line in the sand and saying, I guess what happens to my personal life, whether it doesn't matter in comparison to this much larger thing, which is the genocide in Gaza. And my initial method of doing it, which is taking down the signs, wasn't that effective, but it was a choice that I made. And it sort of feels like following through with that choice ultimately, which is like making some people not like me because I was lying, was the only way that I was able to generate $50,000.
I am so curious what the raw, unedited footage of that is, because they are editing the fuck out of that to make it coherent.
Oh yeah, and it's already 4 hours long. I watched that entire thing. I don't know if you watched the whole thing, but I watched the whole thing, baby, and it is a wild ride.
There's a lot of hard cuts.
It's a wild ride, but yeah, you're right. The real version of it's probably 6 hours of just the fucking the craziest minutia you've ever heard in your life. This is where it gets really compelling, though, Dave. This is where it gets really. No, I mean, where we're at right now. This is where it gets compelling, because this thing right here, this part of it, because I told you, I said,
okay, gotta go. Getting tired. Okay.
Gotta have a mental health episode.
Okay. Gotta go on the media tour. Try to get uncanceled. Okay.
This shit. I told you. I said to put a pin in it earlier, and there's so many things coming out of this. Number one, we talked about this and mentioned that in the Birds Aren't Real episode we missed it, and then I kind of tacked it on at the end. But Peter McIndoe did this exact same thing. Enron launched a crypto coin that generated a really high market cap, and then they rug pulled, and they got a lot of criticism for that, and they've gone dark since then. Like, they haven't done anything with that. Like, they haven't done any more Enron stuff. Peter McIndoe is not really doing any stuff. They got like a really bad negative backlash from this. And the thing is like, because they did this thing, which I don't actually know what their intentions were with doing this, but whatever their intentions were, whether they were trying to satirize crypto bros or whatever, like, at the end of the day, they just literally did scam a bunch of people.
Yeah, I'm committing performance art murder. Doesn't really get you off when you're in court.
And then William Banks's thing seems like this weird, like, take-two do-over of it, where they're like, because they're living together, they live together, and they're like, all right,
they're still roommates right now.
Yeah, they're like, all right, so people really did not like that. Apparently, when you like,
but that was they did that in March. I think this would have been around the same time, or like February, because he broke out of jail in February. I assume the crypto rug pull happened shortly thereafter, so it would have been in late February or maybe in March.
I think they happened around the same time.
So I wonder how much coordination actually went into that, if any at all, of Peter McIndoe is related to this Enron thing. There's another guy, I did look into it after the episode, Connor Gatos, who is also in charge of Enron, and he kind of was the one doing the media rounds after the rug pull. So they got a lot of heat for that. And then William Banks was probably either directly before or kind of around the same time as that. So I wonder if there was anything, or if maybe this was William Banks kind of going rogue, and like, this is the only way I feel comfortable doing something like this. If we're going to do
if we're going to commit a crime, it needs to have a tangible, positive outcome to like be able to write off the crime or something.
But the fascinating thing is like the question of, is it that? Or was it like he knew that in order to be able to do this stuff without like being culpable for it, he had to build in some like very strongly positive outcome of it that makes you be like, I can't stay mad at you.
Right.
Like, was that an intentional strategic move where he's like, the only way I can get away with pretending like I was in prison and doing this weird stunt where I hire a bunch of black people to like bully me, and then I like convert them all to Christianity, which is just
that's a hell
really
of a kink
weird.
Right there. That's a hell of a kink.
And then break out of jail and then do a crypto rug pull. The only way I can do that without getting canceled by the internet is if it's all for charity, for Palestine. This very currently massive hot button issue that a lot of people care about. Like, was it genuinely like, I can only do this if there's some kind of positive outcome, or is it the other way around where it's like, I can only do this if it has a positive outcome?
Right.
And that's the question. And I don't even know. I'm not even accusing him of that cynicism. I don't know. I can't tell with him.
Yeah.
I look at him, I stare into his eyes, and I see nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know whether
that hairdo he's got is doing a lot of work.
Yeah.
Like, you and I both, under normal circumstances, would be like, all right, dude, it's time to get the razors out and this little buzz cut that bad boy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But he has the, like, divorced college literature professor energy and haircut to match.
The hair seems like a very intentional component of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this idea of, like, was it him trying to do a bunch of stunts to benefit a bunch of impoverished people, or was that him cynically exploiting those impoverished people to be able to do his stunts without, like, getting a lot of heat for it because it had this permission structure built into it? And the fact that it was almost this, like, weird, the reason why I assume that it happened after the McIndoe one, or the McIndoe one, the Enron one, is just because it feels like
they learned a lesson.
Yeah, it feels like a pivot where they're like, people did not like that. Let's try it again, but this time $50,000 go to Palestine, and we'll make that a big part of the narrative, and then people will be less mad about it. That's why I'm making the assumption that it came after, but you could be right, and they happened simultaneously or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. He donated $50,000 to Palestinian charities. I don't know if I couldn't tell if he only made $50,000 from the rug pull, or because I think there was a market cap of like $250,000. So did he donate $50,000 to Palestine and then keep $200,000 for himself? Which again, I don't know. I don't want to, like, accuse someone of anything when I don't have all the details. But I mean, is that also a part of it? Of like, well, we can do a crypto rug pull, but we got to donate some of it, and then we can just keep some ourselves. Yeah. Because otherwise, why? I mean, do it for charity, I guess. But, like, why even deal with the bad publicity of doing a crypto scam, even if you are donating to charities, when you're a public figure, you can raise the funds some other way. Like, you can just make a GoFundMe and he kind of did that. All the sales of his free William Banks t-shirts went to Palestine. So you could just do that. But, like, why get into that kind of nebulous, icky territory of we're gonna scam people out of money, donating a portion to charity?
Yeah, which is the part where you wrap back around to, like, I think this guy's mentally ill, but I don't know. Maybe he's not, and maybe this is all just, like, some really intense performance art that's very calculated. I don't know.
It feels like he's ill.
Yeah.
But also the fact that he's roommates with the Birds Aren't Real guy really feels like a factor that can't be overlooked.
Yeah, because Peter McIndoe is like the McIndoe. I always want to say McIndoe because McIndoe sounds like it's not a real name, but it's McIndoe. But McIndoe is like the opposite of that, where he is completely lucid.
Yeah.
And has done TED Talks where he talks extensively about how he meticulously orchestrated everything, and he acknowledges that it's all a bit and stuff like that. Like he couldn't be more the opposite of this, like, I can't get in his head. Like, he's very surface level. He's very open about what he did, and you can tell that it's all very calculated. So yeah, so it's like, I don't fucking know. But the kayfabe wouldn't end there. Banks kept the prison saga going, continuing to post photos to Instagram about how he was still on the run. In the beginning of March, he began posting his new baddie girlfriend.
Must be 18 years or older to see this.
Yeah, I have to be logging into. I mean, we don't need to actually watch it. I would have to log into Instagram.
It's him and his quote-unquote girlfriend, and there's a bunch of pictures of them together. They're, like, in a hotel room, kind of, like, lying on the bed. She's, like, kind of, getting all close to him. There's, like, a video of the two of them, like, dancing in the hotel bathroom. So it's just like, oh, like, I'm on the run. I guess they're trying to go for, like, some Bonnie and Clyde energy. Like,
yeah, and the saying baddie girlfriend is not an editorialization on our part, where it's not us genuinely being like, she's a baddie. That's like, this is his, like, era where he leans really hard into this thing of, like, he starts to try to turn himself into, like, an Andrew Tate motivational speaker for incels type guy, where he's like, I'm a nerd, I look the way that I do, but I got this hot girlfriend. And that becomes, like, his whole thing for this phase of his of his videos is like him being like, I broke out of prison. I'm a fucking loser. I've never had a girlfriend ever. My only girlfriend I had was actually my daughter, who was like a worm hybrid or whatever. And yet I still was able to get this really hot girlfriend.
I gotta see what this girl looks like. Keep reading. I'm gonna look up what she looks like.
Banks would soon find himself in legitimately real legal trouble again. On March 12th, he and his girlfriend went to Flatiron to shoot some more photos of himself on the run. He had wild hair, a tank top, and most troubling, a gun in his waistband. The gun was of course fake, it was a BB gun, but the tip was painted black to make it look more real. Passers-by were concerned about this strange man with a gun, and police soon arrived on the scene. Banks' girlfriend would later post about this new chapter to the saga on his Instagram.
They caught him. I'm honestly at a loss for words, and I don't know what to say here. This is William's new girlfriend, Maddie, on his phone. We were taking photos in Manhattan this morning with John Filmanowicz when someone walking by recognized William and tipped off the police about his location. Almost instantly, a dozen NYPD officers swarmed him with their guns pulled. I feel so lucky that my baby was not harmed in the interaction, but they took him back into custody, and I don't know when I'm going to see him again. We are going to fight the legal system to get him back no matter what. I'm speaking to attorneys right now who think that they can help him. I will keep you guys updated as we get more information. Do not lose hope. William would want us to stay strong right now.
And that kind of plays into more of the blending of reality with fiction, because the cops really did arrive on the scene, but she's presenting it as the cops found him since he's a fugitive on the run, as opposed to people thought he had a gun.
Yeah, it's like taking real life things that have happened and like interweaving them into the lore. It kind of reminds me of like that one time when we were recording an episode and then there was just like an explosion outside of your house and it got recorded on audio of like an explosion happening and you going, what the fuck? There was an explosion. And then I took that audio and put it into the narrative episode. And I made that be when Charles Wexler Weller crashed the Lincoln Jr. into the Mystery Treehouse, and I used that audio of the explosion and you going, what the fuck? It reminds me of that, where it's like, it's interesting in the way of like taking these like real life little bullet points and then like writing around them. Banks was taken to the 13th precinct and then transferred to central booking, where he spent the night. He would publish an interview with his girlfriend about this time in incarceration, but instead of just saying he was put in jail for a night, they made the claim he went to Rikers. Once again, fact and fiction become intertwined to the point where anyone trying to follow along gets bogged down in every last detail. Numerous comments still can't figure out what's real and what's a bit in every one of his social media posts. And that's just how William Banks likes it. For him, this is a new form of storytelling.
It's become this hybrid reality fantasy play where it's both real and not real at the same time. It's like quantum storytelling.
Banks' second actual arrest didn't slow him down. He continued posting his odd brand of surrealist comedy on social media, including a boxing fight to make amends for his prison stunt.
Juneteenth, I found the perfect white boy in Brooklyn who pretended he went to prison and freed a bunch of black people, but he ain't gonna be able to pretend when he getting his ass whooped. Ain't that right?
My name is William Banks, and this is my first fight.
Shut up! Shut up! Harper Bomb King, Juneteenth, be there, Daddy versus Banks, the race war.
I am acknowledging history.
Yeah, we're gonna acknowledge his ass whooping.
See, it's like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, the content is not good.
No.
Like, the content is not good. Conceptually, it's interesting. The content is not good. So then you're just like, what is it all for? And it's for t-shirts.
It's for t-shirts, but I think it's even deeper than that. I think it's, I wish I could be my roommate. You know what I mean? Like, this whole fucking thing is just like, oh, he's got a girlfriend. Maybe I could get a girlfriend one day.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got a cool hairdo. Maybe I'll keep my awful hair, even though I should just shave it.
It's just him attempting to just ape all of the things that that Peter McIndoe has done.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I really wish I was that guy.
He's just gonna single white female Peter McIndoe.
Yeah.
Until he comes up with like squirrels aren't real and just do that.
Yeah.
But it's the thing is like it's not even that. It's not even single white female where he's like intentionally emulating him. It's like he's pretending like he's off doing this other independent thing. And it feels very distinct from him because it's like it's much more esoteric than Birds Aren't Real. It's got a lot more detail to it. There's a lot of weird like little aspects to it. But then when you boil it down to its bare parts, you're like, oh yeah, he's just doing Birds Aren't Real again. He's doing the fake movement that it has a belief system. He's doing the crypto rug pull. He's doing like it's like, oh, he's just like secretly siphoning off all of the ideas that Peter McIndoe has and then just doing his version of it, which is like the slightly weirder, more mentally ill version.
Yeah, and it's not cool. Like Peter McIndoe's version of it, while it's obviously not real, is like interesting. It's just far enough away from reality to be like, some people genuinely believe it, some people don't. Like, this is just, you know, it's not even really kayfabe. It's like playground.
Yeah. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
All proceeds from the fight would go towards organizations fighting for prison reform, as well as Daddy himself to help with an upcoming film he was trying to make. So what's the point of all this? At first glance, it seems simple. A comedian does a bunch of stunts that take off on social media, boosting his own personal profile in the process. Then there's the perk that he raised a bunch of money for a worthwhile cause. But there might actually be something else going on here. And to dig into that, we have to go back to Banks' roommate, Peter McIndoe. McIndoe has described Banks' project as autobiographical reality television, continuing,
TV and movies are exhausted and overrun by industry and money and bureaucracy. It feels banal, and it's been done. And I really think that there's an opportunity here to introduce a whole new way to tell stories.
Which, like, in a way, he's got a point, and like that isn't there is some interesting format of telling stories that's like hidden in this.
Yeah, this ain't
But
it,
as
though.
I said before, the actual content is not good.
Yeah, this
is
ain't
not entertaining. I don't want this instead of TV.
Yeah, this ain't it.
If you're saying like, hey, instead of watching TV, watch this one guy make a bunch of like vlogs on Twitter where he's claiming to be in jail and then like going in a boxing fight with a random dude. No thanks. I don't want that.
Have you ever wanted to see a naked mole rat that has negative charisma try and shave a reverse donut into their forehead? That would be more interesting than this.
I don't want that to be the replacement for entertainment.
No.
I will give me
a Michael Bay.
Frasier.
Give me
any day of the week.
Yeah, give me a fucking Michael Bay slop fest. I don't give a shit.
The way people consume media has changed significantly over the last decade. There's no longer a monoculture where everyone watches the same shows and movies. There are so many YouTube and TikTok channels they can consume on their phones instead. In fact, Gen Z and Gen Alpha have increasingly forgone traditional media channels in favor of watching content creators online. But what if someone was willing to give people something to watch that towed the line between traditional narratives and influencer culture? People are on their phones anyway. Why not create storylines with characters and arcs people can stay current with by following them on TikTok? Instead of trying to get people to watch whatever new show is on Netflix that'll get canceled after one season anyway, creators can meet audiences where they're at, giving them something that's fake but presented as real. After all, isn't that what most social media is anyway? Someone pretending to live a lavish lifestyle through daily vlogs, even if they're only living in a studio apartment with 4 other people? But instead of watching someone apply makeup or give you bad diet advice, you can watch an honest-to-God prison break presented as reality. And scamming crypto bros to help Palestinians is a pretty great bonus. What are our final thoughts about William Banks?
My final thought is, I want to love this story. It's got all the makings of a classic deep cuts kayfabe deconstruction that we always delve into. It should be right up my alley, but the combination of this guy seems mentally ill, the religious thing that's not a critique of religion, but genuinely seems to be him being like, we got to convert more people to religion because that's what the world needs. And the fact that there doesn't appear to be a larger point to it that is constructive in some way leaves me a little cold. Those are my final thoughts. Mike, what about you?
Yeah, I don't think there's any real cohesion to anything he's doing. The only thing that I think could kind of make it work, or the only critique I could kind of glean, is this sort of critique of influencer culture, because that's, at least with the quantum storytelling component, that's kind of seems to be what they're getting at. Instead of all of these separate vlogs of people showing like get ready with me videos or whatever, he's trying to create some kind of narrative which could be cool. And then there's the component of he's doing this to sell a bunch of shit, and then like doing the crypto rug pull, which is like becoming increasingly common. Because I feel like at a certain point, if you're an influencer, there's only so many things you can do to squeeze money out of people. Like we all work in online spaces, and it's really difficult to get, like, if I post an interview somewhere on a website and then I go to my TikTok and tell people to go check out the website, very few people are going to do that. If you try to sell merch, you could have 1 million followers, but like a very small pool are actually going to buy your t-shirt because that's all they care about. So like, how do you get as much money out of them as possible? Well, a crypto rug pull is just a really easy way to go about that, because you have this small pool of people who are willing to buy something because of its affiliation with you. And then you can, it's just really easy to maximize profits out of that, rather than, because once someone buys a t-shirt, like, they have the t-shirt, the transaction is done. A meme coin is something you can milk a little further and get a lot more money out of. So it's interesting that William Banks and the Enron people and like Hawk2 all kind of lead to the same thing. Like there's only so many ways you can get money out of social media. You can make it off the platforms you're on, you can sell merch, and then you can get into crypto. And that's like, if that's your sole source of income, then like that's kind of what you do to make money. And I think it's hard to glean any commentary out of that, but that's the only way that kind of works for me out of all the messiness that he's done.
Which is kind of interesting, because we've gotten to the point now where this idea of building a persona that's in opposition to something, or a kayfabed identity in order to be insurgent into the culture in some way, is now so rote and so trite that Paris Hilton tried to retroactively say that her dumb blonde persona was a kayfabe persona, as opposed to maybe you were just kind of like a 20-something-year-old party girl. Like, I kind of feel like that's probably who you were, Paris. But she's now, as an older woman, looking for cultural validation, being like, actually, I was pretending to do that because that's what the culture wanted, and I'm actually like really smart. And like, if you pay attention, you can see it's like a critique of capitalism, and it's like.
But then she also went on Jimmy Fallon to hawk NFTs. Like,
no
it's
shit.
The same. It all leads to like just scamming.
Yeah,
like,
it leads to the same fucking place. Spandrew, what about you?
Yeah, on the crypto thing, or NFT thing. I mean, the biggest thing about that is like the thing about like crypto, or doing a crypto project or an NFT project, is like, whether it's as a joke, whether it's for real, whether you have good intentions, whether you have bad intentions to rug pull people, whatever way you're doing it. I mean, aside from like what we did, which was just a bit, and there was no money exchanged hands. If anything, it cost us money, because
I kind of wish there was money involved, though. I'm down. I'll say it right now. I'm okay with pulling the scam. You know why? Because I'll just be like, okay. Gotta go take a nap now.
It's so crazy, because unlike any other scam or like scammy thing you can do, it's like doing a crypto project is the pyramid scheme equivalent of having a child with somebody, because a bunch of people invest in it. They're not buying a product. You're not buying something that is like, oh, I'm buying a shirt from you, or I'm buying a comic book from you, or I'm buying, paying to watch a movie that you made, or whatever. There's a product where you're like, that's the end of the transaction. You gave me money, I gave you this thing, or you saw this thing, or you read this thing, or whatever, and that's it. That's the end of it. Crypto or NFTs is somebody gives you money, they invest in something with an indefinite expectation, which is that this thing will grow in value, and it will always grow in value, and it will keep growing in value, and it will stay valuable effectively indefinitely. So the moment that you create one of these things and people buy it, you are locking yourself into an indefinite sense of responsibility for the money that they paid you for. It's like if you sold somebody something, and then every single day you had to personally ensure that they were getting their money's worth for what they paid you. Like every day you had to rewrite and redraw the comic, because they're like, I already read it. I paid you $15. I read the comic. I need more story. And then you had to like write another story and make another comic and give it to them forever. That's what it is. So regardless of whether it's a honest thing or a joke or whatever, like I don't you have to be a certain level of fucking crazy to even do this in the first place, because you are locking yourself into a lifetime of being responsible for providing value to somebody, or being disappointing and getting a bunch of people mad at you who paid you money. So like, I don't know why anybody would do this, joke, satire or not. It's like you're crazy. You're crazy for doing this. So I think it's just like, I mean, if anything, William Banks's one is like a little bit more understandable, because he was just like purposely like, I'm just gonna rug pull these people and give it to charity or whatever. So it's like, you know, he kind of like built himself an out there where he's just like, I have no responsibility to you. I was scamming you on purpose, but it was for a good cause. But aside from that, I mostly agree with you. I think ultimately the thing that I find very fascinating about it is the fact that it's really hard to like get a sense of like what's real and what's fake. And I do feel like that has a parallel with actual social media influencers, and the lines that are blurred between like what they're telling the truth about, what's actually part of their lives, and what's like a strategic thing that they've done to get famous or go viral or whatever, even down to like really simple things where like, you know, you'll have, there's like these recipe videos where there's like a woman who's like making a recipe or whatever, but then she like intentionally says one of the things wrong, like she mispronounces a word on purpose so that everybody in the comments will be like, that was a weird way of saying that or whatever. And it's like she knows how to pronounce the word. She's mispronouncing it on purpose to get a bunch of people angry that she mispronounced the word, so that they'll correct her in the comments, so that she will get so that she will get more views because of the comments. It's like there's so much insincerity that goes into making content on the internet, and I feel like, intentional or not, William Banks perfectly taps into that. Dear God, you gotta stop. You gotta stop.
I'm just listening to what you're saying.
William Banks, whether intentional or not, perfectly taps into that. And, you know, I wish people exercise a little bit more critical thought in thinking for a few seconds, wait a minute, how are we able to see this? There's a person behind this person with a camera, but walking with them.
It is understandable why people fell for it. I mean, you even said you fell for it. I totally would have fallen for it if it had entered my sphere. Like, you know, it's convincing to a degree, but also, like you're saying, stopping and thinking about it for a second, it all kind of unravels.
Yeah. So I am fascinated and interested in it for the exact reason why you were saying that you weren't, that it should be up your alley but wasn't quite. I am fascinated and interested in it for the very fact that it's like this really in-depth experiment with persona and crafting a narrative and living and committing to it, that ultimately is like very explicitly not greater than the sum of its parts, where like every part of it is just not particularly good or entertaining. You watch these short films he's made or these videos he's made, and you're just like, this doesn't feel cool. This doesn't feel valuable to me. I don't really want to watch this. I don't feel better for having watched this. And at the end of the day, it's so that he can like sell t-shirts and these fake membership cards to his cult or whatever.
Yeah.
And I both hate that, and I'm also very fascinated by it.
Well, on that note, I'm Dave Baker.
I'm Andrew Price.
And I'm Mike Bedard.
This has been Deep Cuts. If you'd like to find me on the internet, you can do so at heydavebaker.com, or you can find my books. You can also find my book, Mary Tyler Moorhawk, wherever graphic novels are sold. Mike, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on TikTok at Cinema Singularity, to hear more of my thoughts about what's going on in pop culture.
Spandrew?
You can find me and my book, Deadbolt, AI Private Eye, by going to my website, dapricewrites.com. Deadbolt is a comic about a robot detective from the future who solves crimes and deals with existential ennui. You can also follow us on social media by going to Facebook and searching Deep Cuts Podcast. You can join our Deep Cuts Podcast Facebook group where we talk about the show. We make memes. It's a cool little community of people. You can join our Discord server by going to bit.ly.com/DeepCutsDiscord, where we also talk about the show, make memes, play games, so on and so forth. You can follow us on Instagram at Deep Cuts Pod. You can follow us on TikTok at Mystery Treehouse. You can get merch by going to deepcutspod.com, clicking on the shop, and we got hats and shirts and onesies and bugs and all that kind of stuff. You can follow me on social media by going to, or you can follow me on TikTok by going to @TreehouseDetective, where I make short form fact and explainer content. And you can read my in-depth written material by subscribing to my Substack at substack.treehousedetective.com. And also, once again, I think I said it at the end of the last episode we did, but thanks to Mike for stepping in and temporarily co-hosting the show while Dave was out for a while. It's been a pleasure. And of course, I mean, for me, I'll keep seeing you all the time. But for the listener,
we'll just have our own podcasts that aren't recorded.
It's not goodbye, but it's see you later.
Anywho, I'm going to go to bed.